Welcome to a new episode here in the Energy Bridge. Today we're going to address the Geothermal Association with Clara, and also an expert with Gregor and Götzl. And today we have a special co-host. We have Saiva Einarsson from Iceland, and you have a startup here in Austria, and it's super interesting because it's Frex drill. It's to make drills cheaper for short distances. So it's great to have you here. Thank you as well.
Thank you.
And thank you both for coming in this cold evening in Vienna, snowy. And yeah, so just to start to know you a bit, it's if you can introduce yourselves to tell us how do you get into energy sectors with your backgrounds, and then we can go deep in each one of you. So please, Clara, if you want to start.
So hi, thank you for coming. My name is Clara Maria Habeler. I'm at the Austrian Association for District Heating and Cooling, and also now head of the Austrian Association for Geothermal. It's a joint venture. Yeah, so my road is that I studied special planning at the TU University, and then I wanted to do more projects in the environment, and I applied at Verbund, and that's why I landed in the energy sector. So I was first in the project development for energy projects for wind power and solar power, and so I became part of the energy world.
Yeah, well, Verbund is one of the biggest utilities, not only in Austria, but also with presence in Eastern Europe. So that has been a great experience.
Yeah, definitely. What was the biggest project you were a part of?
It's hard to say because there were a lot of M&A projects. Thinking of the whole scale up through the other countries, like expanding the portfolio to Iberia or Romania and more, to Germany. So yeah.
Really interesting challenges in actually building this up.
Yeah, and from Bergmund because Verbund, they don't have geothermal, right? So how do you get into geothermal world?
Verbund is more on electricity and water. And then I landed at the Association for District Heating and Cooling. So it's more on the heating side, but still it's part of the energy system. Now I'm here since 3 years.
Wow, cool. Cool. And you, Gregor, if you...
Yes. So first of all, we have to say from the beginning or the end of this month on, we have two geothermal associations. So the one Clara is leading is from the Chamber of Economy, and we have another geothermal association. So I'm here also on behalf of the association today. I work at EVN, which is a regional energy supplier in Lower Austria, more or less the suburbs and the area around Vienna. My background is geophysics. So I started geophysics in Vienna and started the Geological Survey of Austria, where I've working for more than 20 years. Okay. And of these 20 years, I would say 18 years in geothermal. I started in 2004 with geothermal research, assessing resource, subsurface potentials. But then in the recent years, it turned more and more into managing resources was a very crucial topic. So I was the chair of a European network on geothermal and district heating in Europe. And in 2019, we founded the Austrian Geothermal Association because there was no, let's say, network interest group on geothermal in Austria. That's how I came into geothermal.
So that's just from 2019.
The other association, we have two associations now in Austria.
Okay.
So we're working close together, but yes, the one is more. This was more independent association.
Okay, still because one is from the industry and the other is part of Chamber of Economics.
Yes.
Or what's the
also
difference?
depending
How do you
industry.
work together with those associations?
So our association, which is part of the Chamber of Commerce, we are only focusing on deep geothermal and also on the lobbying. So we want to push the legal frameworks.
And our association is also covering shallow geothermal, so all techniques, all applications. And we are more a platform for universities, governmental bodies, non-governmental organizations,
Okay.
and industry. So it's a kind of an overlapping, but also kind of a complementary work we do.
Yeah, they are complementary. So when you talk about deep geothermal, is to generate electricity or also to use it in heating?
No, for us as Association for District Heating and Cooling, at the moment we focus on the heating. So for us, geothermal is a key solution in the decarbonisation for the district heating.
Yes, it is.
And that's our focus.
And how has that changed in the recent years, do you think? Is there more awareness?
Yeah, on the one side we have more regulations like EBG, and Renewable Heating Act, which is forces the branch, the district heating branch, to decarbonize by law till 2030, and so every energy provider needs to decarbonize his district heating, and especially in big cities, but also on the countryside. Therefore, deep geothermal will be a key solution, and it's very important, getting very important. So over the years.
So geothermal has a long tradition in Austria. So the first plant started in 1979. And why did it start? Because we had the oil crisis at this time. Maybe you will not remember.
Sounds similar.
You have not been born, I guess.
No, but it's like a deja vu, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a deja vu right now. Yeah. But there were efforts in the 70s after the OPEC crisis to introduce geothermal. But at this time, it was too early. The first district heating developed in Styria at this time, and then we had a boom in the early 2000s, late 1990s. Also in connection with spas, with thermal water use for balneology, to swim in swimming pools like in Iceland. You can do it very nicely.
Definitely.
You can swim in the cooling basin of the power plant, like the Blue Lagoon. Yeah.
Definitely.
So, and over the last years, we saw that there is you call it renaissance of geothermal. Yes, it is indeed. It's now further developing because geothermal in Austria for district heating was more on the countryside. Small towns, district capital cities, but now it's moving into the large urban areas, the conglomerates, and might become, as Clara mentioned, the key element for the heating and cooling transition for the future.
Yeah, actually, we wanted really much to make this episode because we saw a presentation from another big utility here, and they showed the old transition for the assets to decarbonize. It's mainly heat pumps and geothermal technology. So it's a big driver for decarbonize, and we are scoping also Central and Eastern Europe. So we see Austria as a role model also to be implemented there. And you know more about the potential, for example. So we have seen that in Vienna there is a potential near to Alte Donau. Which other places they have potential?
Mostly all the basin areas. So where you have flatlands, there's normally designed for a basin. And a basin means that it's in the subsurface, in several thousands of meters of depth, there are host rocks which have cracks and folds and can contain natural thermal water, which you can use for district heating or electricity production. And these large basin areas in Austria, like the Vienna Basin, so the region around Vienna, the Molasse Basin, which is more or less heading from Korneuburg to Bregenz. These are and the Styrian Basin, of course, I should mention this too. These are the potential areas. So if you calculated the technical potential, it might end up around 20 to 25% of the Austrian population could be supplied by district heating. And in addition, where you don't have district heating, you still have heat pumps as a solution, as individual solutions, or the 5th generation heating cooling networks as a mix between district heating and individual solutions. So, and the bore heat exchangers you can literally do everywhere where you're allowed to drill in the end.
That's quite a
Everyone
lot of
knows it better.
potential. Of course. Yeah, I'm curious though, what are the unique challenges that you see geologically or infrastructure or bureaucratically to build up and encourage this transition?
Yeah, I will. Maybe we start with the policy framework, and I would like
Sure.
to give the word to Clara on that.
Yep.
So for us, it's important to have the legal frameworks. At the moment, the Water Law and also the Mineral Law Act is not regulated so far that we have a good framework and that the companies can invest safety. So that's why we need some legal frameworks. It's also standing in the Regierungsprogramm.
Yep.
And also in the industry strategy, which is really new. It's public since Friday, I think. And so that's very important for us.
So the problem is that geothermal is used for 4 decades right now in Austria, but it's treated the same way as you build a drinking water supply well in your backyard.
Right.
So it's not considered as a energy resource, which should be governed by itself. It's not the case for oil and gas. There are individual laws on that. So geothermal is like a common good, like sunlight or air, you could see. In one sense, on the other side, it's very related to the land property. So in Austria, if you own some land, by law, you own it to the center of the earth. No, it's true. And not many countries in Europe who still have such regulations, but Austria has. So that's why the legal framework should be modernized. Secondly, of course, it's also for authorities, it's a quite uncommon way to produce energy because we have 10 geothermal district heating in Austria developed over the last 40 years almost, because 1979 was the first one in Styria. It means, and we have the potential to have 20, 30 projects in the next 10 to 15 years, which means almost 3 times more than we now have. And this is not just for Austria, this is valid for most European countries. Deep geothermal projects from the first scratch to the first submission to the authority to the start of operation, and takes in average 7 to 8 years.
But that's to start constructing or to start operating?
Planning from the operation.
Yeah.
Wow. 7 years.
Yeah, they're huge projects. So let's say on average, nowadays, geothermal heating plant has a capacity of 20 megawatts. It's going up and up. So the new standard in the future will be around 30, 40 megawatts. They're huge projects, important projects. But still, 8 years is too long to do the energy transition in time. When you think about our decarbonization aims in Europe.
So
what's in Austria?
and also in Austria, yes.
Definitely.
I think we can save some years by improving the legal framework, by also streamlining the procedures in the authorities. So giving clear guidelines how all the risks are assessed. And technology, yes, needs to improve. I mean, drilling is still dominated by oil and gas. That's very good because we have very excellent. You can drill precisely in 5 kilometer depth and along a trace of a plus minus 1 meter. That's great. It comes from the oil business, but it's too expensive for geothermal. So we need now to lower the cost, commercialized drilling to be more like not mass product, but a more cost-efficient product. Could be by improving new drilling technologies. I'm not sure if this will ever work. There are some ideas of plasma drilling and so on, but still the costs are too high and too volatile. That's another big problem we have in Europe, is because onshore oil and gas exploration was dominating until the early 1990s. Then the oil and gas business went down in Europe. Onshore, offshore is a different story. So we don't have enough service provider in Europe to have a market, a competitive market to reduce prices. The different story happened in the US with the shale gas. There a lot of drilling companies came up. Most of them disappeared later on, but at least you had some competition. That's also a problem we face on Europe, because if the geothermal rollout will come, so Germany, they want to invest in 400 projects. So where's the market on that to deliver the services we need?
Speaking of Germany, they recently passed a regulation to simplify the legal framework for shallow drilling specifically. How is it in comparison in Austria? Is there a need for sort of easier bureaucracy, like you were talking about risk assessments for deep geothermal? Are we falling behind here in Austria compared to Germany?
So I think we have some legal framework. It's called ARGE. So it's also a Renewable Accelerating Act. It's more or less now under construction and is also discussed by authorities and ministries. But still, it's more focusing on other renewables like wind power, solar power. I mean, geothermal is somehow part of it, but it's also not so clear. But still, it's not here at the moment. So it will come in the future soon. We hope that it comes soon, and that we have more accelerating the process. But I think it's not compared to Germany. I mean, it's more a detailed law and more concrete. So in Austria, I think such a similar law it's not seen in the future or in the soon future. But yeah, I think it would be nice to have it also in Austria.
I think the stereotype is that Germany is usually worse in bureaucracy. So
no, normally everything is more complicated in Germany. Yeah, but in that sense, no, German did lesson the homework. Austria hasn't done. Hungary has done their homework. Netherlands have done their homework. Almost not all surrounding countries, but a lot of countries in Europe are now preparing the rollout of geothermal. We are lagging a little bit behind, so we started to discuss about the barriers, and I will mainly talk about deep geothermal because the barriers are greater there. So apart from the legal framework and the procedures, of course, incentives are needed. You have to imagine companies like the one I'm working for. Geothermal is not their daily business. Yeah. I mean, 25 years ago, biomass was not the daily business of almost any energy supplier. So these incentives, they were very important just to trigger investment decisions. It's not always just an economic, it's also a psychological effect. You get easy approval by your CEO if you say, I bring a funding with me, so we can try this new out. The government started with a very interesting initiative 2 years ago in 2024 with kind of a deep geothermal exploration funding program. And so a lot of activities were triggered also from smaller energy suppliers, not just the large companies like I'm working for, or like Wien Energy or OMV, so also smaller. And then suddenly, at the change of the last government, all these fundings were put on hold. So we have a classic stop-and-go policy.
Yeah.
And now they are all waiting. I'm also waiting to see if this is continued or not. Of course, we will do our work also, but it makes it way harder without having any kind of support. Risk mitigation, that's a big topic, because in contrast to, let's say, another renewable like biomass, as I mentioned before, if you compare a biomass heating plant with a geothermal, the life cycle costs, they are comparable. So it's not more expensive, but the risk is different. In biomass, you shift the risk to the future because you have to purchase biomass somewhere. You don't know what the price will be in 4 years or what the legal boundary conditions will be for certificates linked to biomass. In geothermal, you have to invest most of your life cycle costs in the beginning. And you always have the risk not to find any drop of water. And you have you invest into a dry hole, we say in geoscience, and you get no revenue at all. That's a big problem.
And comparing to oil and gas drilling, so if you drill 6 times in a row and you find nothing then and the 7th one is finding, then you earn the whole investment back. But in geothermal, it's different, as Gregor said, and therefore we definitely need some subsidies, some subsidy frameworks. It can be one part private, can be public-private partnerships. That's also one thing the ARGE geothermal will work on. So that's also a really, really important thing for the branch.
Yeah, I'm from Chile. We have a lot of thermal potential, but it hasn't been exploded because of that challenge of the risk of not finding anything.
And public perception, right?
Yeah. Actually,
you know what? I was almost applying for a job in Chile 20 years ago.
Wow,
and I thought it's too far away from Austria.
Yeah. No, and well, you mentioned the situation in the 70s with the oil crisis. Now we are in a similar situation. Would you say that now is the right time to push geothermal?
Yes, of course. No, because we have these rollout times. If you want to see an impact in the next 5 to 10 years, we have to start right now. Cannot wait 5 years, because then we see the impact in 10, 15 years, the positive impact. What I want to say, also technological innovation will bring something in the future. I'm quite confident, because now we are talking about using natural thermal water. So natural water, which is trapped in great depths and has been heated up by the surrounding rock. But the thermal water is not the heat source, it's just the heat carrier. The heat source is the rock, the solid rock in between. So the idea is how to get the heat out of the rock. So we have one way is using natural water with this concept of 2 wells, forming a doublet where you pump out, transfer the heat, inject the water.
It's like 2 drills at the end.
2 drills, yes. It's like a groundwater well. It's the same concept, just a little bit deeper. But now also research is going into closed loop systems, and that could be quite interesting. They are not market ready, and I doubt that there will be in the next 5 years. Maybe some colleagues see it differently, but the closed loop systems means, and that's where drilling comes into place. You drill a borehole. It's a closed system, so you operate it with water or any other heat carrier fluid. It doesn't connect with the rocks directly.
Okay. Like a heat pump.
It's like a ball heat exchanger. You transfer heat by conduction at the outer wall of your drilling. And so if you're able to drill a lot of these deep holes, connect them, you can create an artificial heat exchanger.
Wow.
That has no environmental impact, that you have no risk of not finding heat because the heat is everywhere. You just have the risk now to find water in a certain depth and certain heat content.
And this can be done at depth as well?
Yes. So there are a few concepts. I will not name any companies because I don't want to make advertisement for them, but there are different way of concepts. And many of them rely on oil and gas technology. So what do you mean? One concept is you make a loop by drilling 2 vertical wells, which then get connected in the subsurface from 2 different locations. Another concept is to create a closed loop with a dual completion, like a ball heat exchanger, for instance. You have an outer and inner pipe where the water is circulating. And you, from one location, you create a vertical section and a horizontal section. The horizontal section is important to get enough capacity. The vertical section controls the temperature of your fluid. So that's how you can design these things. But in the moment, they are not competitive. It's way too expensive to drill. You have to drill 40 kilometers of boreholes. You can do it, but it's very cost intensive. and you also have to earn the money back one day.
Yeah.
So if I can reduce the drilling costs by a factor 2, or maybe 3 even, have only 1/3 of the costs, then you have a economy of scales. So what they're doing right now, for instance, in US, in Utah, the Utah Forge project, it's not a closed loop, but it's a hot dry rock concept. And they have a very great learning curve. So because they always drill in the same environment, they can optimize their drilling program, which bits you use, which sections you drill. So they can reduce 30%, but it's still not enough to be competitive for closed loops.
How do you see, what is your feeling in the near future with the technology?
I think 10 years, it will work sooner or later, I'm sure. And then you can do deep geothermal everywhere where you want.
So effectively endless energy.
Endless. Human sense, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
What is endless in the end? Nothing.
Yeah, no such thing.
Yeah, and you were mentioned the current local framework, legal framework. But what about Europe? What Brussels says?
Yeah, there are some different laws and acts. So we have the Heating and Cooling Act, and especially one act that we also love it a lot is a geothermal strategy. So also for Europe, but at the end, we have this national topics at the moment.
So there were efforts by the Hungarian Commission. Hungary is a country with a tradition of using geothermal because they have a lot of water in the subsurface to the Pannonian Basin, which was a sea and later a lake in the past, and they have a high heat flow because the crust is thinning there. It's getting stretched.
And that's why they have a lot of...
And they have a long tradition in geothermal. And geothermal is very important also in their strategic thinking. So each country has for half a year the chair in European. It's not the Commission, it's the das pile. I'm sorry, my English is Europäische Rat.
The European
Council. European Council of, that's now my English is back. So they had a resolution to force the Commission to do, or to recommend to the Commission to do a geothermal strategy. I think it's getting picked up. And also the Parliament had a similar resolution. So we are waiting for the Commission to work on a strategy. That's common sense to create such strategies. There is a solar strategy. Why shouldn't be the geothermal strategy? The big benefit from a strategic point of view, it's a domestic energy source. You don't need to import it.
Yeah, I mean, energy independence. That's what we are fostering.
And geothermal in a bigger picture in Europe is also producing electricity and also lithium production. For example, in Strasbourg, there's also a project called Volcano, where they insert also lithium for the water, and then they bring it to Frankfurt to build some batteries. So they have really innovative, different projects. But in Austria at the moment, we are focusing on heating. Yeah.
Regarding your research background, and what is the biggest innovation gap, and how can we actually move from this strategic mapping to drilling more areas?
Yes, so drilling must get cheaper. That's the biggest gap.
And plasma is the newest?
It's not so new. I mean, I saw presentations 10 years ago about plasma. It sounds, all these things sounds great, but maybe we have to reinvent the way we drill.
There's always a catch, isn't there?
Yes. Yeah. You can high voltage drilling by, you call it, how it's called, you stimulate the rock, the solid matrix, to go in resonance, and then it collapses like a bridge.
Right.
Yeah. But no, data is very important. So I think government should help companies to create new data. The better we know the subsurface, the better the chances are. You always have surprises because when we drill for thermal water, we drill for cracks and fractures which have a few micrometers to millimeters. But we look more or less on a say like a cast in a rock, but we can only see the slope, not the rock itself.
Yeah.
So drilling is the most important thing. The more we drill, the seismic is also important. I don't say that all other methods they are useless. No, they help us creating a model where we derive the probability of having such cracks and fissures with water. But in the end, drilling is the only proof, and that's why these investments are very important. So that's where the government can support activities. The data, of course, everybody has an economic interest. It's understandable. There's no question on that. But we should think about making all data which have been assessed 40, 50 years ago accessible. All those, let's say, states which have such a policy, just to name it, Netherlands, for instance, they benefit way more development if you reduce such barriers. Doesn't mean that you get it for free, but at least you have a chance to get those data.
But at the end of the day, it's just cost of drilling.
Yes.
And that's
to be honest, and the other thing you asked about technical risk, of course, they are not there are not so many risks. The most, let's say, sensitive risk in geothermal is still seismicity. It means that injecting water can produce sensitive earthquakes which you can sense. Doesn't mean that anything gets destroyed or somebody gets hurt, but it's enough if you sense it. If you sense it, you have a mistrust in technology.
Right.
So there, a lot of research took place in the last 15 years on that topic to control these geothermal systems. And I think the more projects we will have in the future, the better these management systems will be.
Oh, okay, so it's a calling to share data, kind of, because
I'm always, but that's my personal opinion. I don't say that's the official opinion. It's not the official opinion of the association, but it's my personal opinion.
Sure. No, I was just thinking in the example of Tesla, like they released the battery plants. So they created the market sharing the whole knowledge to create batteries, and they take by themselves the best part. So when they released it, they were advanced already, but they created the market. And then
normally, if you have an advantage, it's enough to be, otherwise you don't have an open market.
And the other point you also mentioned, it's maybe also subsidies for research drillings, like in regions where we have no data, also no oil and gas drillings in the history. So we have kind of white label in the labels in our maps, so which is no research at all at the moment. And maybe it's also hard to do seismic because of the mountains or other constitutions. So therefore it would be also good to have more investments in research and also research drilling. So that would be also helpful for the branch.
Addressing this risk of lack of data, we came across with this project, Geoplasma CE, which is using AI and data mapping. So maybe you could tell us about this project.
I was the project manager of Geoplasma, so it was my project in the end.
Okay.
It's about shallow geothermal, not deep. And we don't use AI. No. It was just a traditional, I don't want to prove you wrong on that, but it's a traditional mapping project, but it was a collaboration of the geological survey organizations of Austria, Slovenia, Poland, Germany, and Slovakia, and Czech Republic, I should mention. So it was a nice cross-border mapping project. I think created a nice blueprint and the prototype for such information systems. Now the Geological Survey of Austria is now called Geosphere Austria. They are developing such information systems, which are a great help for shallow geothermal. Would be good to have something similar for deep geothermal. Germans have such a system. It's called GeoTIS, Geothermal Tiefeninformationssystem. So maybe we'll also have it in Austria in the future.
Okay.
But AI is a hot topic here. Why? It's because you have to recognize patterns in data. Also patterns in geological structures. So a lot of research is invested into automatic detection of geophysical logging in wells to detect typical fracture zones and so on. I think I will also use it soon for my own work. Yeah.
Yeah, AI is everywhere.
It's a very interesting project, and I love what Geosphere is doing with the mapping. You can essentially just click on the map and see how much you could get out of that location, and how many wells you would need for shallow, of course.
Yeah.
So business models that are needed for deep geothermal to make it more attractive, because they probably see it as a question of either it is a long-term returns or there's nothing at all. So, I mean, the startups have the same value proposition, and that's why many investors require 10 investments in order to maybe have one, and then they want 100x from that one person. So, is this something that can be developed for deep geothermal?
For my opinion, but it's only my opinion, it's hard that startups could do investment in such a huge scale-up industry. So it's even hard to finance it at the moment. I mean, maybe there exist some models, but still, that's a really huge project. I'm not so sure how
It's not something
the
that,
market for startups
no, I mean private venture capital,
or private. Yeah,
similar to startups.
You could have them.
Well,
May I
not
comment on
particularly.
that? I mean, on the one hand, of course, the portfolio approach is important, and you see it, companies like ARGE in Denmark. A good example, OMV, I think, wants to get in the same
Exactly.
direction.
OMV invested a couple of years ago.
But there is always a problem in all these stories. On the one hand, we should act like the hydrocarbon industry did in the past to develop fields, because then you can really share the risk in the portfolio. On the other hand, independence, oil and gas is not heat.
yeah.
Two different things. Oil and gas, if I'm not happy with my provider, I change my provider, because the state is governing the network. With heat, I cannot do this, because heat is always short distance delivery. That's why in the end, this concept doesn't work so well.
And it's also not in Austria a concept that works there. So I think you can compare this field.
So it's always on the governmental level, right?
Yeah. If I could make a wish, to be honest, portfolio management would be important. Help also smaller companies, but the partner should be then more, let's say, like a fund, which is partly provided by the state with revenues for the state, of course. It should not be for free. So that means if you want to go into the safety umbrella to risk your project, you might pay some royalty later on that, but this is only one concept, of course. There are others too, premiums and so on.
Right.
But
I mean, there's also the problem of public perception. When one borehole that looks impressive in the beginning doesn't produce anything, people that aren't necessarily familiar with the topic might disregard geothermal altogether.
Yeah, let's give a happy news to the investor, or a happy idea, because we are pushing here the topic that energy consumption is very electric, near to 20-23%. The rest is heat and cooling. So it's a huge opportunity to decarbonize. So you mentioned something that with geothermal, it could be covered near to 20%.
Yes.
So what is the potential in the market?
In European projects like what's called GOTH, they concluded around 20-25% with the current technologies. It means that apart from other aspects, they are not living in regions where you have this natural thermal water bodies. All hard rock environments, whole Scandinavia, you don't find this. If you don't have volcanoes like in Iceland, you have crystalline granite rock, but cold and tight. There is no water inside. With other technologies in the future, we don't rely on the natural water. This range can be widened, of course.
Okay. And currently, how much is being covered?
2%, 1.5%.
So 2%,
maybe,
and it can reach 20.
Yes,
Yeah.
That's the big.
It's a big range.
Data. Yeah, and we were very into one report from IEA about energy employment. How do you see the shortage of professionals in geothermal sector?
It depends because the Association for District Heating and Cooling, so we made an internship, so a new program. I think maybe Gregor can say more for the industry. I mean,
I mean,
it's hard to say.
there is still competence there, but with a reduction of oil and gas exploration the past 20, 30 years, of course, the level of skilled employees goes down. So geothermal is not a classical study you can do. In Austria, you are not able to become a certified geothermal academic expert. You have to study geology, geophysics, or reservoir engineering, but then you have a lot of other things.
Is it possible in other countries?
In Germany, they start now, yes, and they are thinking about international master programs. Delft, for instance, in the Netherlands, they want to start with partner universities, I think Bochum and so on. That's what is needed in the end. And also, same applies to shallow geothermal. For a bore heat exchanger, you need a driller, you need a heat pump installer, you need a planner. Why not making a study to combine these three skills? Because all these three skills are useful. If I am allowed to drill, I can drill drinking water supply well too, if required. If I'm able to make installments of heat pumps, I understand how a heating system works. So it's could be quite interesting. That's let's say something we can hope for the future, because we talk on deep geothermal 20 times more we can roll out if you want in the next decades. This doesn't stop in 2040, can be prolonged. Same applies to shallow geothermal. I think with heat pumps, 6-7 times that would be also necessary to decarbonize. Of course, a lot of these will be air-based heat pumps. The ground source heat pump has the advantage that you don't need to install a ventilator on your house. That's a big difference. Noise, waste heat. Yeah.
So which specialities you said that they were the
drilling, energy planning. Also, let's say geoscientific and energy planning, how to blend the heat exchanger. And installment of a heating system. There's 3 different skills you need.
Wow, that sounds like a good idea, Rahul, for a hackathon. We are planning to make these competitions.
Yeah.
Wow. No, it's good, cool. And now we are reaching the final part of this conversation, and let's dream. So if you would have 100 million euros, what would you invest on to accelerate energy transition and especially to foster geothermal?
I'm just now working on a project which needs to invest 100 million, so I know what I do. 2 geothermal plants now. Just joking. No, I would invest it into a risk insurance scheme and in an exploration fund. With 100 million, you can do a lot. You can stipulate a lot of future investments.
So to the risk drilling.
Yes, and invest into exploration. Austria.
To map in.
Yes, and including drillings.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Gregor said already with the things we are also already working on, and I think the de-risking for the drillings, also research concerning mapping and data, would be really important, and the subsidies overall, also for the pipes, also for the nets in the district heating, because you need to think the deep geothermal project also in a bigger context, because it's not only the power installation, the drillings, we have also the district heating net, which needs to be close, or if there needs a new pipe to connect it, and it must also be seen. So there are the big investment costs, and also the pipes are really expensive. So not only the drilling, also the pipes. So in Austria, we say we have kind of golden pipes because of our high standards, which is good, but still they are also quite expensive.
The labor is the expensive part.
I'm not sure what's the most expensive.
Excavation works, of course.
But there are a lot of components which make it expensive.
And organizing this, because you have to get a lot of permits to create a heat transport pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
Same with drilling subsurface.
So that's also in focus. We should have an eye on it.
Yeah. So 10 times more deep geothermal in the next, what, 20, 30 years? Do you think we can do it?
30 years, easily.
Yep.
I would be happy. So I think until 2030 we double it from the current level, because this is already in the pipeline.
Okay.
Vienna, Austria, Styria. 2040, maybe three times, maybe even 2035. 10 times we will see. But with heat pumps, that will be difficult. Honestly, because we need way more drillers in Austria. And by the way, we also need more drillers in deep geothermal. But I hope and I'm confident that the market will develop.
And how much do you think has influenced the goal from Austria to be carbon neutral 2040 and not 2050 as European Commission proposed? Do you think that has been a good driver for the industry?
Yes, because Vienna has the same goals, 2040. And I have to say, the colleagues from Wien Energie, they are really front runners in Austria. And they are also, of course, pushed by this climate goal.
And also the National Heating Act, which was, I think, from 2 years ago published. So it's also it's fostered to decarbonize the district heating to 2030 really in total. So, I mean, what to be said that Austria, we still have a lot of a good decarbonized rate in Austria, like it's more than 50%. Compared to Germany, it's really high because I mean, not that high like Scandinavian country. And for district heating, it's not only deep geothermal and heat pumps, it's also waste incineration, biomass. So waste heat, we have a lot of different sources. That's I think the big or the interesting thing on district heating and an advantage. But still, deep geothermal is also a key solution concerning independency, and especially independency from fossil fuels. So
yeah, cool. I really like to think that this is like a deja vu what passed in what passed in the past, and now it's a new new context.
What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a startup trying to innovate in the hard tech world of geothermal energy?
Get yourself familiar with drilling.
Get the Bohrmeister?
Yeah, but Bohrmeister is just yes. Brunnenmeister, it's better. It's higher ranked.
Sure.
You can run your own business. No. No, what I can say, get yourself a geoscientist, because they are helpful. It's also the renaissance of geosciences, because everybody thought nobody needs it. We can import everything what we need. Coin has been flipped. It's on the flip side of everything right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So just to end the interview, if you want to make some last keynote to some messages for the community, and what could we do to foster geothermal and reach carbon neutrality and fight climate change? That is the biggest goal.
I think we were really happy that we get support also for our position papers, and also that people understand what is geothermal and what is deep geothermal, because we're always talking in a specific bubble, but many people even don't know what it's geothermal and deep geothermal at all. So maybe you can spread the technique and what is the topic about. I think Gregor was, he explained it really lovely. And I think that's also a big work to get more the knowledge concerning geothermal in general under the people in Austria. Yeah.
And what is geothermal is an interesting working topic for the future. If you are now on your bachelor or master level or even below, you don't know what to do with, even if it's technical study or geoscientific. That's interesting work because it combines so many different things, from hydrogeology to energy techniques, and I think it's a growing business and a good job opportunity.
And there are going to be plenty of opportunities in the next decade.
Yeah.
It's not something we can automate with AI.
No.
That's true. That's true. Yes.
Yeah, and well, we believe that communication is super important, especially in this kind of super technical topic. So if you have material that we could share, we can add it to the interview at the end of the video. We can share your social media, your website, where the community can find information, and nothing else. That thank you both for coming. Also, Cyber
Yeah.
as
Thank
an
you for
expert
having me.
here, and we hope to have you again in a couple of
40 years.
yeah to see how the
No,
things
not 40 years.
are going.
Thanks for having us. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you, and thank to the community for watching it in the end, and see you in the next episode. Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao.